The top 5 bets for week 18 of the NFL season, and we're not starting now, but we're starting right now. So the first bet that I clicked this week, you beautiful people, you beautiful fellas out there today, I looked at Tampa Bay, I looked at Carolina. A rematch of what happened a couple weeks back when Tampa Bay smacked them around for 32-6 victory. I looked at that and I said, I want the under. I want the under 42. It's bet down to 41.5 in a good amount of spots right now. Let's see if your local bookie, your local guy has still got that 42 out there. Why not? But you can see at this point, Tampa Bay is a 7.5 point favorite on the screen on the YouTube version. And right there is the over 41 to 41.5. And I mean, every single site is basically laying the 41.5 at this point. Just keep tracking those numbers. So why am I liking this spot for Tampa Bay? Well, Tampa Bay has to just reconfigure their offense at this point. No Antonio Brown, no Chris Godwin. They lose their biggest zone beater in Chris Godwin. They lose their biggest take the top off of the defense, but can also dominate the most versatile receiver in Antonio Brown. They still have no Leonard Fournette, who is a check down artist, a zone beater. They have to reconfigure their offense, and no better time to do it in a game that matters, that they're going to try and go out there and secure a higher seed, because the longer they can get away from the Green Bay Packers in the postseason, the better. That is the boogeyman for this Tampa Bay team in terms of how they're set up. The Packers have the ability to play two high safeties. They have the ability to put up points on will on a banged up defense and a just regressing defense of Tampa Bay this year in that pass rush. So this is a situation where Tampa Bay wants to win. It's a situation where they're facing a team in Carolina that has nothing to play for, hasn't all season long, and looks absolutely terrible as they have been. I'm expecting Tampa Bay to load up here and start to use what is the best piece of their offense left. Tom Brady behind a solid offensive line. The offensive line, whether it's in the running game here with Keyshawn Vaughn and Le'Veon Bell, because Ronald Jones is also banged up now, or whether it's giving Tom Brady the time to find underneath routes to Tyler Johnson, to Rob Gronkowski. Mike Evans is going to be locked up for the most part by Stephon Gilmore. So what I think you see is the number 2 neutral pace team in Tampa Bay slow down a little bit here, start to play at a slower pace, and you already have a bottom 10 pace team in Carolina coming into this. I think you start to see less possessions, less efficiency on offense. I mean, Carolina this season has had no efficiency on offense. They rank 31st in defensive EPA, and now they face a Tampa Bay defense that ranks number 9th overall. You're looking at this from a standpoint of how they've scored points in general. They've only scored over 14 points, 1 in the last 6 weeks. Carolina only put up 6 against Tampa Bay a few weeks back. And then you also take into account the piece that Tampa Bay can also pull their starters. Although they want to win this game to increase and improve their seeding, they can just say, hey, we're up by 20 in the fourth quarter again, up by 15. Let's get Tom out of there. Let's get Mike out of there. He's our only healthy receiver. And I also don't think that Cyril Grayson, who has 11 career receptions so far this season, 9 over the last 2 weeks, he bounced around to a bunch of different practice squads. I know he had the big touchdown catch for them last week. I don't think he's going to be a consistent piece of this offense moving forward. I don't think he's going to be somebody that you can say, yep, he's going to replace Antonio. Oh, he'll replace. No, he's not going to replace these players. So I see them running the ball more, Tampa Bay. I don't see Carolina finding the success on offense that they have not had all season long since like week 3. It's been a long season when they were like the best team in the NFL, right? So my first bet of the week is going to be the under 42, 41.5, depending on what you're getting it at, Tampa Bay and Carolina. Now we move into number 2. And last week we went 3-2 on these picks, and we just missed going 4-1. Denver, who never scores any points, right? We said that last week. Under 45 ends up being only 47. Ends up being 47. We lose the bet, and they scored 24 points, the two teams combined, the Chargers and Denver, in the fourth quarter. I'd call it a bad beat, as they only had 23 points entering the fourth quarter. Only had 23 points 5 minutes into the fourth quarter. 24 points in the final 10 minutes. Oh my God, the odds that I got from that one will still take the winning week. Let's do it this week. Let's go 4-1. Let's go 5-0. Why not, to close out the regular season? I'm going to smack you around with another under right now. Under 44.5 in the Green Bay and Lions game. The spread is on the screen right now. You can see the Packers are 2.5 point favorites. There's an under 42.5, under 43.5. So you can find out there probably an under 44 right now. I got it at under 44.5 earlier in the week. But here's the interesting thing about this game. I don't care what, look, Matt LaFleur, he looks great. He's been doing a good job out there, right? Look, this is the thing. He's not playing his starters. He said, oh, we're going to play our guys. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, they could play maybe some of their dudes. The offensive line has been banged up. Aaron Jones has been playing banged up for a month and a half. Aaron Rodgers has a broken toe that he has been laboring through. I don't think you're playing your starters. And what better time to let Jordan Love have his second start of the year? The first start in Kansas City against an improving defense, not a great spot. This start against the dead last ranked total defense and secondary that has no pass rush and stinks at tackling and has no cornerbacks in the Detroit Lions, why not let Jordan Love see that defense? Give him some confidence to end the season. See if you can see the big time throws out of Jordan Love, 1 or 2 of them in this game. So I'm not expecting the Packers starters to go. You look at this team, and these teams in general are two of the 3 slowest paced teams in neutral pace in the NFL. They play very slow. The Packers milk the clock. The Packers in this game might run a little bit with A.J. Dillon if he's not pulled early. And then they got Patrick Taylor out there. They're going to be much more inefficient. You look on the opposite side of this one, and you already have an inefficient team in the Detroit Lions. Detroit ranks 27th in EPA per play, expected points added, right? And that's an efficiency metric. So they're already playing at a slow pace, so they're not running a lot of plays. When they do run plays, they're being inefficient in them, and that's why you're seeing Detroit, if you look at it over their past 10 games, they've only cleared 16 total points twice. And you saw them clear it with 29 points last week against Seattle because Seattle was playing soft defenses because Seattle was blowing them up, putting up a 50-burger. So you might say, oh, they scored 29 points. Oh, Amon-Ra St. Brown's playing well. Oh, Swift is back, although I think he's going to be limited if he plays at all. So I think you're going to see two slow-paced teams. You're going to see fucking Tim Boyle or Jared Goff versus Jordan Love, and I'm not going to be somebody who wants to be taking an over on that one. I really don't trust the Lions enough even to be taking the spread on that. So we'll take the under 44.5, under 44, 43.5, wherever the number is. I like all those numbers. Personally, that's where we're going. And as we go through the final three bets, a quick word from our sponsors. Prize Picks is an over-under site where you can get a free bet up to $100 to use on player props. You get that free bet by using the code SAL, S-A-L, on your first time deposit. It will give you a free bet up to $100. You can take the over-unders on plenty of props and more come throughout the week. Rushing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, not just for football, but for basically every single sport you can think about. They have the best odds board in the business, and it is legal in states that you might not think it is. New York and Texas, for example. If you'd like to tail some of our action this week, we have Noah Fant under 40.5 receiving yards and Ezekiel Elliott over 44.5 rushing yards for Saturday's slate, with more bets to come throughout the week from this content. Use the code SAL for a free bet up to $100. That is code SAL on prizepicks.com for a free bet up to $100. All right, so for the third bet of the week, let's tackle the first spread that we're looking at. And it's a matchup that we've already actually taken this spread once, I think at minus 17 earlier in the year, and we won on it. It is a division matchup to close out the year, like plenty of these are. The New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are there earlier in the season as a big spread. Some money was coming in on the Jets for that game, and the Bills end up going out there and getting a massive 45-17 victory. I'm expecting them to double it up here. The Bills can't get the 1 seed, but they can at least improve to get some more home field advantage in the postseason. You have the Jets coming off of their potential Super Bowl, which ended in a loss, right? The Jets, they face in Tom Brady, their former division rival. They're going to beat him. They're going to do it. And they run a 4th and 2 QB sneak. A miscommunication leads to getting beat in the final 30 seconds by Tom Brady. Rips the souls out of Jets fans yet again, right? Right through the heart right out of them. Now you get the Bills coming off of what they've just been doing is fantastic. They're starting to actually establish a running game. Devin Singletary looks decent, which is making the defenses that they're facing have to bring an extra safety sometimes, not all the time, but an extra safety down into the box. Meaning that bada bing, bada bang, deep plays, middle of the field stuff, laser throws for Josh Allen are hitting at a higher clip. So as of right now, I am taking the Bills at minus 16.5. Get it on DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, PointsBet. It's all the same spread right now over the over the New York Jets. So the Bills minus 16.5 over the Jets, you can see right here. It is a low total, just 43. So they really have to thread the needle here. It's going to be a situation where you have to hope that the Bills defense, which they are set up to do, can limit this Jets offense, which has not been great, to around 14 points or less. And look, if you just look at what the Jets offense has been doing lately, you might look last week, oh, they scored 24 against Tampa Bay in that game, right? They'll definitely get it. Well, let's just not look at one game. The Jets are bottom 5 in both scoreability and bendability. Scoreability is a cold hard footballfacts.com stat, and scoreability basically tells you, hey, this is what a team is doing. They're cashing in on their yards. Can you turn your yards into points? If you want a little math equation for it, it basically comes down to offensive yards divided by total points scored. So the Bills in that metric are top 5. The Jets are bottom 5. The Bills in that metric are actually number 3. And then when it comes to bendability, it's the opposite. The amount of yards you're giving up versus the points you're giving up. Are you not actually breaking, right? And the Bills, they're not breaking. They're number 6 in a good way, right? The Jets on the opposite side, bottom 4. Bottom 4 in the NFL. So what you're getting here is a matchup from a team that puts up a lot of yards and scores a lot of points. Cashes in on those. Good red zone offense. Good deep playability. And then on the defensive end, they're limiting yards and limiting points. You get the Jets on the opposite side, who absolutely at this point is not playing anywhere near that. Josh Allen right now, the number 1 overall ranked real QB rating versus Zach Wilson, the number 31 ranked out of the starting quarterbacks out of 32 real quarterback rating quarterback. This is just a complete mismatch. That's why the spread is so wide, but I like it even more than that. I don't see the Jets' ability to put up a lot of points in this one off of a letdown game, as I think Buffalo continues to roll towards a higher seed. The Jets don't have the personnel in the secondary or up front, as the Bills have one of the best offensive line advantages on the week. Take the Bills minus 16.5. We got 2 bets left, and we're going to hit you with a couple of more divisional matchups. The first one is a rematch, a divisional matchup, of course. You're going to get the San Francisco 49ers and the Rams. Now, I'm really tempted to take the 49ers here, and earlier in the week, they were plus 5.5. I didn't pull the trigger on it. Now they're bet down a little bit, so it doesn't look as good, but I do like the under in this game. I'm taking the under 44.5 on the Rams versus the 49ers. It's available in multiple places right now. As you see, the 49ers right now are plus 4.5. Earlier in the week, it was plus 5.5, plus 6. It's opened at plus 6. I don't want the plus 4.5 now that I missed out on that number, but I will take the number at where it opened at total-wise, so we haven't moved anything there, at 44.5. What you're getting here is the Rams earlier in the year just destroying this team. It was Thursday Night Football, I believe, 31-10, and they ended up knocking the socks off of the Rams, or the 49ers knocked the socks off of those Rams. And now the Rams want to be somewhat of a different team. Like, if Stafford stops throwing pick sixes and they don't have to play from behind, they want to go power running game. Even if Henderson is able to return, which I don't think he will this week, they want Sony Michel to run the ball. Sony Michel in 5 straight games has 18 or more attempts in all those games, and he's averaging over 21 attempts per game on the ground. They want to play action passing. They want Stafford to only throw 30 to 35 times a game. That's where they feel best without Robert Woods right now, with other pieces of their offensive line banged up and worse. The Rams, who once ranked 30th in the NFL in running plays per game, after these past 2 to 3 games, they now rank 25th, right? It's slowly coming up. If you played another couple games, they probably rank in the top half of the league in running. They want to get back to that type of a format. So that's going to slow the pace of the game down for a team that is normally a fast-paced team. You already have a slower-paced team in the San Francisco 49ers coming in here, and we know the way that they want to play, and Trey Lance might be getting another start, so a little bit more mobility there. They want to be able to run the ball. Elijah Mitchell, and that's what they did against the Rams the first time. Elijah Mitchell has 20-plus attempts in 4 straight games. When he played the Rams earlier this year, he had 27 attempts. He was inefficient because the Rams defense ranks number 1 in run defense, and they are a solid tackling unit, but they still wanted to be able to run the ball. In that matchup against the Rams earlier in the year, where they only ended up allowing 10 points, since then their defense has actually gotten even healthier, right? They got even healthier in the secondary and more so up front. Their defense at this point ranks number 5 in pass rush. Nick Bosa has been playing very underrated at this point, and number 7 in run stop. So you get 2 teams that are pretty solid at generating pressure, solid at tackling, and solid at stopping the run. And both of those teams want to be able to run the ball. So you're just going to be getting head-on speed here. And I think what you're going to see is a lot of 3 and 4 yard carries, a lot of inefficiencies, but the chains will be moving. The clock will be ticking. The possessions will be shortened, and the unders, I think, hit here. So San Francisco versus the Rams, under 44.5. And yeah, I am taking a lot of unders because some of these teams might start pulling their starters. San Francisco, by the way, has to win this game. As an underdog, they have to win this game, right? If they lose this game and the Saints win, they're out of the playoffs. If they win this game, they're in, right? It's set. So they have a little bit of motivation as well in this one, if you're thinking about taking a side. So now with that said, let's talk about our 5th and final bet. And it was going to be the Ravens. The Ravens before Monday Night Football kicked off. I took personally the Ravens minus 3.5 versus Pittsburgh. Now that is up to minus 5 because even though Pittsburgh won, they looked terrible, as bad as possible. His 3 yards per attempt for Big Ben is just absolutely brutal for throwing 50 times in a game. But now that number is all the way out to minus 5, so it's not as much of something that I want to touch or recommend as the line is totally moved. So we'll go to another one here, and I'm going to go to New England and Miami, and I'm taking New England minus 6.5 versus Miami. You can see that spread on the screen now. It's about a 40 over under, another really low total here. New England is minus 6.5. And here's the thing. My gut is telling me to take New England minus 6.5. My brain and thinking about past situations is saying this is the perfect Miami Dolphins spot. Miami won 17-16 earlier in the year. Totally different team since then in September. Totally different quarterback in Mac Jones and defense in the New England Patriots, though. But you have New England coming off of a massive win, 50-10, put up a 50-burger, and Miami coming off of their first loss in a while and looking terrible, getting blown out by Tennessee. So your gut says, oh, you're getting maybe an extra point or 2 here because of what happened last week. But honestly, I don't know if that's the case. I still think that this might be value on New England at 6.5 here because New England's not that different from Tennessee. They're actually better than Tennessee in terms of their defense and their offensive efficiency. And Tennessee just steamrolled this Miami team. Like, Miami had a 6-game winning streak going, but these are the quarterbacks that they beat. Ian Book, Zach Wilson twice, Mike Glennon, a combination of Cam Newton and PJ Walker, the Texans, combination of quarterbacks there, and then Lamar. Lamar, the only quality win during a time when Lamar was dealing with injuries. So this is not a great Miami team. Their offensive line is putrid, dead last in the NFL, and New England's not a good pass rush, but when you're facing a terrible offensive line, it's going to be a top 5 pass rush matchup for New England. And we talked about scoreability from the coldhardfacts.com, and scoreability here for New England, number one in the NFL. Bendability, number 1. This team is literally number 1 at scoring points on the yards that they accumulate and not giving up points on the yards that they allow. And now they have a Miami team coming in here that for the most part struggles to find any big plays, right? Jalen Waddle is not being used as a big play receiver this year. He's getting a lot of targets, but not deep downfield. Devontae Parker is struggling to stay healthy, and Mike Gesicki with Parker back is not being used out wide as much. The big plays are just not as much there. So I feel more confident in the fact that if New England gets up in this game, and they're up by a couple of scores, you're not going to see a march back similar to last week what the Texans couldn't do and the Jacksonville Jaguars couldn't do in games where they got behind. And I would say that Miami's offense is not as bad as those offenses, but in terms of having to play from behind and putting up points quickly, this last month and a half, they haven't had that recipe. So yeah, I think New England minus 6.5 here. Again, it's the gut call almost, right? It's believing in Bill Belichick in the final game of the year. They have an ability to get the 1 seed. They have a top 5 pass blocking and run blocking matchup this week. Miami ranks 24th, bottom 10 in the NFL in EPA per play on offense. New England top 5. Like, the matchups all look great here. The only thing, trying to galaxy brain it, is terrible loss for Miami last week, massive win for New England. I know there's already an extra point built in. Like, this should probably be New England plus 5 to plus 5.5. But at the same time, everything just still lines up here. I don't think 1 week is going to fix that for what I think is a somewhat fraudulent team in Miami. So there you go. There's 5 bets for all you. There's 5 schmacks for all you beautiful people out there. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to check out the sponsor of the program, PrizePicks.com. If you use that code SAL, you will get a free bet on your first deposit up to $100 to bet on some props. Limited time offer, so take advantage of it. Not now, but right now. You all rock, gang. We have more content already out and throughout the week to help you with DFS on Saturday and Sunday slates, and I appreciate you all a ton. We'll have some live streams this weekend. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you all in the next one.